Hello, it's Caro from Ulua, and welcome again or welcome back.
Welcome to Ulua. You live, you work, you art.
Today I want to start with an anecdote that I had like 20 years ago or so. I remember this was one of them. I was at a shop which I felt I needed more tools at the time, and I needed more ideas and theory and exercises and everything. I needed to improve my leadership at the time, or at least that's what I thought. And I remember I took a day off, from those birthdays things, birthday day off, something like that. And I told to my boss I want to take that day because I want to go to this leadership training that's going on a certain campus at the university. And I remember she said, "Why do you need that? That's nonsense," she told me. And I said, "Well, anyways, I want to go." So I did go to this. It was a whole day of training, and also you can connect with people when you go to those kind of things. So I was like kind of excited to go. And I remember in the first hour or so, I had a teacher. I can't even remember the name of the people that were there. Um, Not even I don't even know if I yes, I don't know the names of the people that were around me either, because they were people that came from all around the country, and there were some people that were in the city but not that much. And so I sit side by side to two strangers, people I had never seen in my life. And I remember the first exercise the teacher, or the person that was leading this workshop, did was, okay, just get up, stand up, and look at a partner. For example, he said something like, "Look at your left," or something like that. And I had a girl on that side, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to count for 1 minute, and you have just to look at the other person in the eyes." And that was the first time I did the exercise, and it was terrifying. It was really scary. And apparently, it was also scary for the person that was next to me. She, I remember both of us couldn't stand a minute of looking at ourselves in the eyes. And from time to time, we look aside, we smile. Obviously, we were too shy to do that thing at the time. And of course, I had other exercises during the class and that kind of thing during the whole day out. But I felt like actually was kind of disappointed, because I said, why I'm doing this? It has nothing to do with leadership, with anything, basically. Uh, but now, and after having done this too many times now, I realized it was just I didn't know how to, or I have never been in that kind of connection with another person that way. There's are not that many people, I mean, especially not a stranger. and and I also thought, oh, thank God she was a girl, because if it was a man, it would be even more terrifying, you know. And well, the years pass by and that kind of thing, and I did this exercise several times, but every time it was less frightening. Um, and I could do it like, then I realized in some cases, for example, actually, like most of the times after that one exercise, that I could be looking at the eye of the person, and I wasn't feeling afraid, for example. And I've done this in at different workshops, different places with different teachers and that kind of thing. Um, I had did this at another workshop. It was in Chile. It was a workshop about dances and traditional dances from India and the world in general. And I did this with a teacher, and she made us look at our partners, the person that were standing next to us, in the eyes. And I remember I had a very friend of mine, uh, and we looked at each other like we had never seen each other like that because we were never staring at each other's eyes, right? And well, the time came by and she started to cry. And it was also like, oh my God, what have I done? I said. But actually, she said that, I don't know, she saw something in my eyes and she felt the connection and she felt like she was being loved somehow. I wasn't doing anything in particular, but she felt that connection and that love. And she said she had never felt that thing with another person. At least that's what she said at the moment. And so I started to pay attention and say, okay, our through our eyes, they say that eyes are like the window to your soul. Through our eyes, we can connect, we can, I don't know, be in touch with the other people's soul, I think. And every time I do this exercise, sometimes with strangers, sometimes with friends, of course, it's not something that I say, oh, let's do this exercise and see what happens. No, it's because the time happens that we are in a certain situation. I don't know, like in this case, a workshop, and we do this. Um, it's always, there's always something more coming out from this exercise. And there's always more reflection to do. And there was a time when I made a grown man cry. I remember that. Apart from my friend that I knew her, so it was like a deep connection because I really did know her. But it was this other time that I was in a class. It was also a dance class, but we were more touching like the theatrical part of the dance. And I don't know how or why there were three guys in the room that entered because it was generally a girl thing. But I don't know why if the teacher invited them to stay or what happened, but there were three guys. They were, I think they were like repairing something in the place. I don't know, but they were total strangers. And she said, okay, can you do us a favor because we need to do this exercise. The only thing you have to do is just, they were like 5 meters or even a little more on the other side of the room, and they were just sitting on the floor, and every one of us had to see if we could get that connection with the audience, which were these men. And the only thing we had to do to really connect with the audience was to look them in the eye for some time. So we had to look with the connection, see, I don't know what happened with each one of them and that kind of thing. And I remember it was my turn, and I was just standing up on the opposite side of the room, and I was looking at those men in the eye. I had no longer this problem of being too shy to look somebody in the eye. And it was like 5 minutes or so. It was like a long time. And I started looking at them, and I could notice that the the thing they had to do was just look at us in the eye, and that was all. And one of them just closed his eyes or looked down, and he didn't even contact. And I could understand that he was being shy because it's not normal to see somebody so much time in the eyes. And the other one was just looking like that. It was like uh, I remember the one in the middle was like it was like not trying to express anything with his face. It was really funny because when you are from the side of the stage, we could say you can see other people's eyes and the reactions and all that. And so the one in the left, I clearly remember the face of the guy. He was sitting down, so I was looking like a little bit down. I was standing up and he was sitting on the floor. And I connected with those two, the one in the middle, but who was just like that. And the other one who was looking. And actually, he was like paying attention. And we were just looking at each other. And I could see in his eyes that he also started like, I don't know, shedding some tears. His eyes became bright, and then time was up. But I realized he was almost crying, and I say, "Wow, it's like that kind of connection with total strangers that you can have doing just this exercise, right? Just by with absolutely no intention at all. It was just looking at other people's eyes, and it's really interesting. And I think I have other experiences. I will tell another one. I was at a workshop. Like this workshop was like we were a full weekend in another city. I traveled there, and we were accommodating in the same place that we had like a room, a saloon, or I don't know, the place where we had the workshop, but we also had, it was like a beautiful view to the countryside, and we had amazing food and those kind of things. It was about emotions, the workshop. So we had different activities and we get to know a little bit more each other, with the people that were there. And I remember there was a couple of old people. I mean, well, they were kind of in their 60s or 70s, and they were really cute, good people. And we had to do the same exercise with several of the people there. And in my case, I had to do it with a husband. And we also did this exercise, and sometimes we change positions, well, that kind of thing. But it was looking in there. And I remember after our experience, we had to say what kind of emotion we could read from the other people um, eyes. And I remember he was happy. I could see he was happy. Yeah, I don't know if happy is the right word, but content with his life. I don't know, or at least at the moment. And he said at the time he had seen tenderness in me, and I remember I hated that because I said no. I was, and I had also been told that I was tender before, but I didn't want to be that. I want to be something different. I wanted to be, I don't know what, but now I am at um, at peace with that thing. Some people have told me that. Uh, yeah, I think it's part of me too. So, but yeah, we achieved really good connection with almost everyone that we've seen each other in the eyes, right? Even though sometimes they were complete strangers. And why I am telling all this, which is kind of, I don't know if intimate, if more personal at this level. Yes, it's kind of personal. And what does it also have to do with leadership, for example? And I think it's because remember that we have all sorry, we have talked about conversations and how we need to connect to other people in a more deep way, on a deeper way, at least from my perspective. Mm, because I've seen, for example, I've traveled to different countries, and I've seen that we are getting more and more disconnected. Especially, I saw this in the States. Sorry if you are from the States, but the United States, I have seen that when I was, for example, at an elevator with other people, everyone's just looking down or their phones, and they were not really connecting with each other. Here, sometimes it happens too if you go in the metro and or on a bus, take a bus or something. People are always looking at their cell phones too, but maybe if you are in an elevator or that kind of thing, they look at you in the eye and say hi. Not everywhere, but it is again, at least for now, it is something that happens. And yeah, I think this kind of connection, as I said before, is difficult to get because it requires that you first of all trust in yourself, know yourself, uh, and also have some kind of feeling of safety and trust in the world, I would say. Because if you are too afraid of what the other people will think, what they will do, or what they can do to you, or that kind of thing, or maybe what they can say to you, I know that's the thing now. That we are too afraid to speak to other people because they will think differently, and maybe they will, I don't know, take action in a bad way. Um, but in general, what I see is that people wants to connect in general, of course, and of course they don't want to connect with anybody. Um, but I think we are kind of lacking that connection, and that could be with anyone. But if you want to connect with the people you are leading, for example, I didn't. Um, as I said before, I was totally at odds when this teacher, professor, I don't know what, he was the one in the workshop making us look at the eyes. And I said, what does he have to do with leadership? And I couldn't see that at the time. But now I realize after 20 years, I realized when I had to work with clients or how to work with people in general, maybe I was the boss or I was the subordinate, just to name roles. Um, and it's really important for you to try to connect with the other people to get better understanding, to be able to communicate better, to be able to, you reduce the friction, you reduce the conflict that may arise. And it's not only because you are like kind of, I don't know if ahead of things, but you show yourself, you show up and you show yourself like the real you. Um, but it helps you. It helps you. And it also, I think it comes from a place of peace, of trust in the world. But you have to really be that in order for this to happen. Because if you are afraid, if you're insecure, if you don't trust the other person, if you are in a place where you're not feeling safe psychologically, that's a term that's been in use in business or at the offices of the world, psychological safety. If you're not feeling that, it's difficult for you to get the connection to other people. And especially if you're a leader, I think that you need to be able to connect or at least be available for other people to connect with you. Give the space for them to connect with you. Um, yeah, another mate. There's also important for you to know that even if you give the space, the other person can choose not to take it, not to connect with you. Either, even if you're given the space, even if you're trying to be, I don't know, yourself in the moment. I always say in the moment, or your authentic self in the moment, or as authentic and sincere as you can be in the moment with that person. Um, there are some people that it takes a long time for them to trust you, or to for them to open up, and that's perfect, because you have to give them the space. Maybe they have some, and I've seen this from experience, they have had some problems at home, personal things going on. Maybe they don't trust you because they think you are just another one that's coming to the office and saying things that you don't really mean, and they're just like testing you to see if you are for real or not. And yes, you have to give them the space. That would be my advice, as a coach or as a leader, manager, whatever you want to call it. Um, but I do think this is basic, like looking somebody in the eyes. Uh, it doesn't have to be like that, but we are right now talking about this kind of connection, eye to eye. Because remember that we have also, I think it was in the episode You Do You. I don't quite remember, but I have already told you that there are people that don't feel that they need to connect eye to eye, and that's perfectly fine too, because they have some other way of connecting. Maybe you will have to figure out that if you're a leader or you want to connect with other people. But I'm just talking about this kind of connection, and of course, this eye to eye thing, you have to be vulnerable, because if you look at somebody in the eyes, as I said, it's like they are seeing our souls, we are letting them see us, and you are looking at their eyes and you're seeing their soul, their core. And like it happens with this guy that he almost, I think if the exercise would have been 30 more seconds, he would have been crying. I guess he would have closed his eyes, because I could see his eyes getting brighter, and it's difficult for a person to do so. And he was in a safe place because we were just all in the same um, space, all not only in the same physical space, but also in the same mental space. We were sharing this moment eye to eye in complete silence. So nobody was judging them or anything. I was just connected, or me, they weren't judging me either. We were connecting eye to eye with these guys. And everybody was just looking from the audience perspective. So it was just me up front, and or my colleagues or the other dancers. Then we rotated and that kind of thing. But yes, I don't think, for example, I've had to have, that sounded really strange. Yes, but if I had had to have this conversation, or a conversation eye to eye with this guy, after that, I think it would have been from open perspective, like in an open heart, we could say, because we had seen each other, our vulnerabilities, we had seen our soul in those moments that we shared, even though it was too little time. But yeah, I think that's interesting, at least to think about it, right? That's another good way to connect with people, and also not to look like in a creepy way, as I always say, um, because you can also realize, like in the case that the guy in the middle, as I say, he was completely shutting out from his emotions and his feelings. He was just hiding in plain sight because he didn't want to really connect. So I felt no connection with the other two. And this has also served me in other shows, for example, with other people, other audiences, and it's really nice. I remember the first time I went onto stage for dancing. I was super nervous. I made all the mistakes possible at the time. And because I was too focused on the external, now when I see other people's, I'm not focused on them, I'm focused on the things that I'm doing, I'm dancing, or I don't know, acting something. So I'm focused on the on the character, but at the same time, I can receive the feedback from the audiences. It's no longer a problem, even though when you go out to stage, there's always this kind of uh, thing that's itching all in your body every time. But once you're there, you can see at the audience, can look at the eyes. I remember once I was um, as a character, with a mask, and I saw a little guy, a little boy, and I made just a gesture like this character, and he was saying he was super connected. So feeling that feedback is really interesting, and I could feel that. But anyways, I'm going off topic again, and what I was saying. Time for another mate. Yes, this thing that I think I've already told you some time ago. I don't quite remember. Maybe I don't know. I tell so many things. But yeah, you have to be focused on yourself, because if you're not focused on yourself first, it's impossible for you to connect to the other people. And I always say this because I see it every time, almost every time. It's like you are focused on the external, on what will people say about you. But no, just be connected to your character, to your persona in the moment, even though this persona or this hat or this mask you're wearing right now is as a coach or as a leader, as a manager. It's just a mask, it's just a hat, or a role you are representing, a character. So, oh yes, I was saying when the first time I went out for a dance and I made everything wrong. I remember when I came out, it was the first time for me at a theater, and it was a huge one. And I actually could, when I went out, because you go out like that into the stage from behind the curtains, and I saw all those people looking at me like that. From It was a really huge theater, and I was like, oh my god, everybody's looking at me, and I don't know. I think like I froze for a moment, and then I started dancing, but completely, it was a mess. But because I was focused on the other people that were just looking, and they were just looking. Some of them I remember they were I don't know, like they were the children, and maybe they weren't paying attention really to the thing you were doing. And I remember seeing my relatives in the front um, rows, and that distracted me because I thought, oh, what will they think that I'm doing this thing right, wrong, whatever. And so yeah, you have to focus on yourself first, and also of course receive the feedback, but it takes time, I think. Receive the feedback from the people that are looking at you. And especially if you're doing some improvisation, you have to be super aware of what the others are doing in order for you to connect with them and maybe interact if you can, of part of the show or whatever it is. So yeah, I went sideways, but but even though I feel now that I have, of course, I say I every time I go out on stage, even when it's in front of very few people, like for example, the last time I danced was at a birthday party with a friend, and there were like 15 other women. But every time you go, it's like something that's inside of you, anticipating the things. And uh, I know for many people, many people have told me I would never go into stage like that. It's like impossible for me. And I used to say that too. So I think it's just a matter of courage, which I do think I have because I always just jump into it and then I see what happens. And but it's also practice. So and I'm not saying that okay, now if you want to connect to people, just go on stage, and no, because you will have a terrible time. But maybe start thinking on how to give yourself also, as for example, as a leader, you give the space for your team or the people you are connecting to in a one-on-one or in a meeting with your coworkers. You are giving them the space for them to be themselves, to connect and everything. Give yourself that space first. So this was just like a reflection, and I wanted to tell you this story, that how I did make a grown man cry, like the song "Start Me Up" from the Rolling Stones says. Um, but yeah, because I think it's funny as an anecdote, but for me it was a huge learning and a huge lesson on how to connect with another human being, another one. Because every time I do this kind of exercise, I have new ideas, new realizations, new insights that come uh, from having this experience. So I hope this is something you can try in a safe pace if it's the first time that you do this, or the other person does it because you can't go through life saying, "Oh, let's connect and let's see ourselves in the eyes," because it will be super creepy. Um, Especially in most of the countries, if you are a man doing this to a girl, it's like, please don't. Um, but yeah, in a safe place, in a safe context, and that kind of thing. Um, when you do that, be ready. That's another important thing. Be ready for you to be seen as you really are, because it's a two-way thing. It's not only that they look at you, as I say, you can be like this, trying to show no emotion, but that's not connection. That's only complete disconnection from yourself first and from the other person too. So be prepared to be connected to yourself first, I would say, and then give the space from others to connect. And when you connect, when you really get to a connection with people, this is for work or outside work, um, you can really not only this is like a starter, right? Like, well, like the song "Start Me Up." It's like in another sense, of course, it's like the starter of a new relationship. I would say maybe coworker to coworker, leader to coworker, and that kind of thing. Because you will realize, and I'm thinking now about many scenarios coming to mind where I had this connection with people, and it really helped us grow not only as a team, but I could understand them better and help them grow in a particular thing. And at the same time, I was growing too. Um, help them out, really understand when there was something that they didn't want to completely reveal from themselves, and having the respect for for them to say, okay, they don't want to open up yet in this thing, or maybe never, but it's okay. And I also had the opposite, and of course in the middle. But I have some people that maybe open up too much for a workplace context. I don't know. Um, so yeah, you will learn in each situation how to deal with these things that happen. But just by being open enough to this connection, it's really great. It's really great. And you could say, okay, but if I'm from a different culture, maybe it will be more difficult for me to connect with other people because I have experienced that too. But I think when you connect person to person, all cultural barriers and things are like completely down. Um, yes, they are taken down because at the end we are just people, and our souls, I could say, even though we don't understand the same language that the other person has, maybe you don't completely understand their background, their personal upbringing, the things they had to go through. When you're having this connection, you're somehow you understand the other. I don't know how to explain this. If you have never done this, I would suggest for you to do that whenever possible because it's something really, really nice to do. Not only for the other person, but only for yourself again. So this is if you want to experience something, you can say, okay, I will do it because I'm a selfish person and I want just to connect. But I can assure you that when you really connect, you can no longer feel that selfishness, even though you are aware of what, as I was saying, you have to be aware of yourself, of what you're feeling, what you're thinking, that kind of thing, and open up to show that. And at the same time, it's a two people thing. So it's not you, not the other, it's just like another space. It's like kind of magic, we could say. Um, and I have experienced this with people from all around the world, and I can really see that when you are in that space, in that connection, is super powerful. The especially because I assume that you will be doing the right things. Um, for example, if you because if you are trying to do bad things to the other people, it completely shows, and then in it you immediately disconnect. So I don't think you can do this in a bad way. And this is really a space for growth. That's what I've seen also for my coaches and the people I work with, uh, and everyone. I have had this deep connection, and and it helped us grow immensely. And me too, in at the same time in the process, because it's again, it's not just you, it's like another world that open up. And yeah, you will have to experience now. So uh, I hope you do soon, and that you can write in the comments for me if you have had this kind of experience. Uh, what did you think? Did you feel like you were open enough for the connection to happen? You just closed down because you didn't want to be seen, um, or something in the middle, whatever it is that you felt. I have also felt the opposite. Again, like this person that was like this. He was like, he didn't want to show anything. And I also had other people that um, mm, I don't know how to explain it, but it shows. Everything shows up. So if you are not willing to show your soul, then don't try it. But I hope you do. Um, so, anyways, I hope you like this episode, and I hope this somehow lightens you up in some way, and it's at least useful for you. And when I say useful, this kind of connection goes beyond. So at first, you might start trying to do this because you think it will be useful for you. But again, if you are in the zone or in this or space in this connection, you will not longer think about a benefit. At least not only for yourself. You will, I think, um, look for a mutual benefit. Hmm. At least that's from my perspective. So thank you for being up to here. I don't know how much time did you spend here together, but I hope you like it, and I hope that you can really have mm, really nice experiences and good connections with people, because this is what life is about, right? Having good connection. And it also, if you're just trying this for a selfish purpose, we could say, as I started because I wanted to be a better leader, I wanted to be a better coach, I wanted to, and then I realized it's not exactly like that. um if you want to do it for selfish purposes, I think you will grow, you will have mm, a better understanding of how we work as humans, how we can communicate in a better way, and also it will be a huge tool for your mind palace or your cottage mind or your shack if you're just starting. And yeah, I hope this will be useful for you. So please comment, subscribe, and like it if you like it, and that kind of thing, that you know that. And also, thank you so much for supporting also me on Coffee. If you're around here, if you want to check up some things, um, or if not, it's perfect the same way. So have a good night or a good day or whatever it is. Bye. Have fun. Ahora tengo que cantar la canción.
Stay tuned for Ulua's next episode.